What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another market update video. Here yesterday, Thursday evening, there were a number of really amazing CGC graded Star Wars comics that sold, and I wanted to kind of go through some of the highlights of those, and I also picked out a few that have sold here recently on eBay, key issues or just kind of cool stuff that I wanted to talk about. So, without further ado, let's dig right in because some of the prices were pretty shocking on some of these. We're going to play a little game for Star Wars number 1 and Star Wars number 42. We're going to look at the 9.6 grade and what that sold for, and then what that same comic sold for in the 9.8 grade. And as you can imagine, the price difference is pretty substantial, even though you're really only going from a 9.6 to a 9.8. So it's pretty wild. But anyway, here's Star Wars number 1 in a 9.6 grade. Beautiful comic. The comic that started it all, and that one sold for $1,040. So I'll give you a second to decide what you think the 9.8 sold for. And here's the 9.8. This 9.8 sold for $4,111. But I want to show you, here's what I want to point out, is that I think people need, and again, I'm not criticizing anybody. It's your money, you do what you want to do with it. But in terms of presentation, let's look at this 9.6. All right, it was a nice, clean, even edges, no miswrap issues that we've talked about in other videos. Very, very clean. So that's the 9.6 that sold for a little over $1,000. Now, if you want to pay 4 times more, this is what this one looks like. You've got complete overwrap, miswrap over here, where the white of the back of the comic is showing through in an uneven patch all the way up the spine. And then part of the interior pages are showing at the very top. So it's a complete miswrap, even though it did get a 9.8, and CGC does allow miswraps for whatever reason, within reason, and you'll still get a 9.8, and if the rest of the condition of the book is okay. But my point is that if I've got $4,000 to spend, would you spend $4,000 on this one, or would you wait and get a better example of a 9.8, or would you spend 1/4 of that and get one that presents a lot better? So all I'm trying to say is, in my opinion, someone overpaid for that $4,111 9.8, because to me, this is not a great 9.8. And, an excellent 9.8 sells for 45 to 5, So if paid a little bit more, you would have gotten a better deal. And I just think that maybe people don't look close enough at some of the details, because not every 9.8 comic is equal, in my opinion. All right, now we've got one of the heavy hitters. We all know that Ahsoka's popular, and this is the 1 of 1,000 copies variant version, the special edition of Clone Wars number 1, with the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex. And I always thought it was 1 in 1,000. It's actually 1 of 1,000. There's only 1,000 copies of this. So a couple of you YouTube viewers pointed that out to me, so thank you for clarifying that to me. But it's an epic cover. I love the way it looks. It shows Anakin and Ahsoka on speeders as they kind of race through some of the battle droids. And it's 9.8 grade, so it's basically as high as you can get. And this one sold for $12,505. So a big, big number. But amazingly, that's actually come down versus where some of these others have sold. I've seen as high as $17,500 for this comic. And Bryce Comics has got one for sale right now for $14,500. And that was kind of lower than where they've been selling. I mean, most of them have been selling in that 16 to 17 range, maybe 15 on the low end. So I'm not saying that this is cheap, okay? This is a lot of money, and way more money than I would ever spend on a piece of paper. But all that being said, there are collectors out there that have deep pockets. And if you got deep pockets and you bought this for $12,505, I think you did really well. You did really well with that, because it's a beautiful, beautiful comic. It's 1 of 1,000. There's even less of those in the 9.8 grade. And you got it for a good solid, let's call it $4,000 to $5,000 less than where they've been selling. So that is a big win, whoever got that. All right, we're going to play the game again. Now, they're not exactly apples to apples on some of these, but this one's a 9.6 of Star Wars 42. Boba Fett's first full appearance. We got the first cameo appearance of Dengar and Bossk, and we're going to come back to Bossk in a little while with his first full appearance comic, because I'm going to make my personal opinion known on that comic. But anyway, this is the 9.6. This one sold for $781. This is the newsstand, so you can see it's got the UPC code down here instead of the Spider-Man head. So this is the more rare newsstand edition, much harder to find in high grade condition. And again, that one sold for $781. And then here is another newsstand in a 9.8. Now, keep in mind that this is off-white to white pages instead of just white pages. But, you know, it's not a huge deal, but, you know, some people only want white pages, you know, and so having a little bit of off-white, not a big deal, especially with a comic this old, but I'm just saying it's not exactly an apples-to-apples comparison with the 9.6. But anyway, this one was an off-white to white, 9.8, and it graded, or it sold for $2,500. So $2,500 for that newsstand versus $781 for the 9.6. And then the other one that's sort of comparable is this one. This is a 9.8 in the newsstand of Star Wars 42. But note that this one has what's called the CVA kind of, it's got like a CVA exceptional sticker. And these don't come up very often. To get that CVA exceptional sticker from CGC, it has to be like an almost perfect example. And like perfect centering, perfect coloring, all that, you know, everything's got to be exactly perfect for a 9.8 CVA sticker. And so you don't see that very much on these, especially in these vintage comics. I mean, I've never seen that sticker on anything other than vintage comics, and I think that's why. But anyway, so this is the newsstand 9.8 CVA sticker, and that one sold for $31.12. So to compare versus the off-white to white pages 9.8 newsstand, that one sold for $2,500. So to get the CVA exceptional, you're paying an extra, let's call it 20 to 25%. So it's a big difference, but and big numbers for the newsstand for Star Wars 42. Now this is the direct edition in a 9.8 white pages. So you can see it's got the Spider-Man head instead of the UPC code. That one also sold for $25.02. So it didn't really matter versus the newsstand, but again, this is off-white to white for $2,500, and this is white pages, $2,500. But this is a direct edition, so that makes me think that probably in the if you had a newsstand in just white pages, you know, and maybe non-CVA, you know, the non-CVA exceptional sticker, you're probably in that ballpark of $2,800 to $3,000, somewhere in there. So now they've been, you know, to reference eBay, I mean, you know, the Star Wars 42 in a 9.8 with white pages, it's very regularly selling above $3,000, as high as $3,600. So I think the best deal of all the ones that were bought, if you have deep pockets, was this one. That's the CVA exceptional. To get that at $31.12 without paying eBay prices is pretty awesome, because there's not many of them that got that designation, I would think. So just a few prices for those of you looking for Star Wars 42. Now, let's go back to Bossk for a second, okay? So we know 42 is his first cameo. His first full appearance after another couple of cameos. He's got one other cameo or two other cameos before this, but his first full true appearance in the comics was Star Wars number 71. And everyone is speculating that Bossk is going to be playing a role in the book of Boba Fett, possibly even the Mandalorian. There's been some Bossk kind of art at the end of some of those Mandalorian episodes, from what I've heard. Sorry, my throat is really dry, guys. Anyway, Star Wars 71 is really Bossk's first full appearance, and this comic has jumped. I mean, over the last 6 months, it's gone from like $200, $225 up to like almost $400 now. This one just sold at $385. So I guess my opinion on this comic is, yes, it's awesome. I'd love to have it, obviously. I'm a big Bossk fan. But I'm not paying $400 for that right now. I'm sorry. I just think that the speculation is a little bit overblown, because Bossk cannot speak English. He kind of gargles like a weird, Trandoshan gargling. And it's not going to translate that well in live action, in my opinion, to have him be a recurring villain. I could see him being like a 1 or 2 or 3 episode villain, or playing a role in a short kind of portion of a season. But to him to have a major role within the book of Boba Fett or the Mandalorian, I just don't see it. I just think the translation would be kind of hard, and it would be more physical than actual like dialogue, and it'd be a lot of like subtitles and stuff like that. So I just think that it's a clunky character to translate to the big screen long term. That's why you had kind of a cameo in the original movies. I mean, it's kind of hard to translate that. So anyway, my personal opinion is I'm staying away from this book until it comes back down in price, and I think it will. I don't think it's going to stay up this high. I bet it comes back down. Another one that was on eBay that was interesting is this one, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic number 42. Dark Horse from 2009. This is the origin of Darth Revan. Everyone is speculating that Darth Revan is going to be making an appearance. His comics have come back down a little bit, though. Like his first full appearance comic and this origin comic have come way back down. You know, for his first full appearance, it's under 1,000 now. I mean, I've seen them selling for 900-ish. I've seen them listed higher, but I've seen some auctions where you've gotten it for a pretty decent price. And then same with this one, with his origin comic. This is an awesome cover, by the way. They did an homage for this for the War of the Bounty Hunters. With it said, instead of Malak Unleashed, it said Fett Unleashed, and it had Boba Fett flying in the air. So anyway, it's an awesome comic, and this one has come back down too. It's down about, I'd say, about 30 to 35% off of its highs. So that one sold for $6.55 in an auction here recently. It ended 2 days ago. So that's a comic to be on the lookout for if you think that the Darth Revan, or any kind of you know, long-term speculation with Darth Revan's coming. I can't imagine Disney not doing something with Darth Revan. I just can't. He's too popular. Another one that I've kind of harped on in past videos is Star Wars: The Clone Wars #2. Ahsoka Tano's second appearance. And, you know, a lot of people dog on it because she looks kind of weak and kind of frail there. She's kind of a Padawan, and, you know, she's being protected. But this comic has moved up. You know, from when I started talking about it, you could still get it for like $230 to $240, and now it's $340. This one just sold at $340. Now they're being listed at $500. So it's slowly moving up because people know that Clone Wars #1 is kind of out of their price point. Not everybody, obviously, but normal collectors like me. I'm not paying $4,000 for a comic book. And this is a nice alternative. Or if you don't like this cover, look at 3, 4, 5. Some of those are really nice covers. And this is probably the weakest cover of, you know, non-Clone Wars #1. If you're looking at some of the later covers, though, I just picked this one because it's the second full appearance of Ahsoka. And to me, it's a nice play on, if you're a big Ahsoka fan, or if you know, a big believer in the TV show, to get it a lot cheaper. You know, you get it for basically 10% of the price of Clone Wars #1. One that is completely flatlined is Dr. Aphra's first appearance, Darth Vader #3. You know, she went up to like over 500, and then she dropped back down to about 400. That's when I bought it. I bought it about 400. And then she went back up again. She got back up into like almost 5 again. And now she's back down again. You know, this one just sold at $390. So I don't know if it's a function of more and more issues being graded at CGC and being flooded to the market, or what. But the price for Dr. Aphra's first appearance comic has come way back down. And admittedly, you know, this is her first printing. There's 4 prints plus the 1 in 25 variant. If this one is still too expensive for you, then look at the second print. The second print's got a red background, and it sells for about half that price. You get it for about $200 or less. So that's another option. But yeah, the first printing is really kind of flatline. It's basically selling at the same price I bought it for 3 months ago. So I still think that Dr. Aphra is a long-term, a good investment. I really like Dr. Aphra as a character, and I think her comics got good potential. Now, I think a lot of it might be supply. It might just be an excess supply. People are all grading them. You know, now that the prices have kind of steadied, people are starting to worry that you know, prices aren't going to move anytime soon, so we better get them graded and get them sold. So that might be what's going on there. Caden #6, one I just picked up. I think this one's going to continue to go up in price, and I put my money where my mouth is. In all fairness, I bought this one. I didn't pay this price, but I did buy it on ComicLink, and I'm a firm believer that the Rebels team is going to make a big splash on live action. It's coming. And this one just sold for $725. I've seen them sell as high as $850 after the Sabine Wren news got announced, where they're trying to cast her as an actress, cast the actress to play her alongside Ahsoka in a major role in Ahsoka season 1 or season 2. So this one again just sold at $725. I paid less than that, way less than that, but I can tell you that, in my opinion, if the Rebels team makes a live action appearance in any of the Disney shows coming up, this book will be $2,000, in my opinion, in a year or 2 years. I don't know when, but I think it's going to go up in value. So I still think that this book is a good long-term buy, in my opinion. This one, I'm going to end on a cool note. This was a really cool one. So this is a modern comic. This is the one that just came out July, this past month. War of the Bounty Hunters Aphra #1. It's got the awesome In-Hook League cover. That's actually an homage, by the way, to Wolverine limited series #1 or Wolverine 1, where he's got his claw and his fingers extended like that. So that's an homage to that. And they had this one signed by the stunt, the actor who did the stunt work for Boba Fett in the original movies, Dickie Beers. So it's really cool to have new meets old. You know, you got the original actor, original stunt actor that portrayed Boba Fett in the original trilogy, signed on a Boba Fett comic that just came out a month ago. I thought that was really cool, and it sold for $132.50, which is actually pretty good. I mean, you can get that. I mean, you know, graded 9.8 unsigned, it can sell for close to $100. So I thought that was a really good deal. But anyway, I just thought that was a cool combination, old meets new, and it was worth pointing out. So you never know what you're going to find on eBay. I didn't see this till after it sold, unfortunately, but I don't think I would have bought it anyway. But it's a really cool kind of concept for a graded comic. That's all I really had. I just thought you'd like to see some of these recent auctions that ended, as well as the ComicLink auctions that ended with some really rare hot items. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. And existing subscribers, I just want to as always, say thank you, and thank you to my Patreon supporters. I appreciate everything and all the support for the channel. I'll be back soon, and thanks again for watching.